First of
Yes.
all, I want to talk about the QA mindset. How could you describe the QA mindset?
Yes, well, basically the QA mindset, it's not only for the QA person of the team. It's need to be
Mhm.
for all the team, for the developer, for the scrum master, for the product owner, for all the person that who will be involved on the develop. Why? Because we need to all we need to be aware of the quality. In which way, that is depend on the activities that we are going to be involved. For example, on the QA, we are going to be involved from the requirements. Then we start to analyze the requirements until we deliver the product on production. So, for example, the developer is going to be involved from the requirements, but he's going to apply a different type of QA mindset. Why? Because the developers need also to develop unit testing, and that unit testing is going to be in charge to validate some codes that are built or developed by themselves. So you need to create a method that is going to validate that piece of code. That is the simple definition of unit testing. For example, on the Scrum Master, he or he need to be aware that how he's gathering all the requirements and how it's going to make push with the product owner, with the team, and highlights the different type of validation that also you need to do, because sometimes as a QA or as a developer, we make mistakes on the validation, or we think, okay, that is not needed, or stuff like that. So all the team need to be aware. It's not just one job for one person.
Correct, correct. I do agree. Um, we all need to have that mindset. It's should be kind of the part of the even a culture, or I don't know how to say. Uh,
Yes, yes, it's kind of part of a culture or
mhm.
a process also to understand what we need and which is the goal for the QA or the quality that we are looking for. And it's very important also for the customer, and because it's going to be the final person that is going to be using the software or the application or the hardware in other terms.
Nice, nice. So yeah, for us, for example, as developers, that's we have those unit tests that we usually do in some projects. In some projects we do more than
Yes.
another. In some projects we don't. I don't
And
know.
also you also have the defensive programming. That is a very cool term that
Yeah.
you need to identify all the possible scenarios
Hmm.
that you need to tackle. For example, if you are creating a condition, you need to validate that the different situation that you're going to have with that condition. If you're going to be
Hmm.
handle exception, you need also to take
Exactly.
care of. That is the defensive programming that all the developers need to be developed, and it's not easy. It's like a path that you need to follow and develop.
Yeah, I do agree with. It's a must now. I would say for us for all the teams, I guess, or most of
Yeah,
the teams, or at least talking about software developers, I would say it's a must these days to
yeah,
have like that mindset, or because in terms of when we're building, we need to consider everything, right? So
that's correct.
even it's already part of the patterns that we need to follow, and the best practices already consider those things, right?
Yeah,
When some dumb examples that where how are you going to handle null exceptions? How are you going to handle uh, uh, make sure you're not going to end up with an infinite loop, or make sure
yeah,
that an object is not going to be empty or whatever. Those kind of simple things, right? That we always do.
yeah,
And there's also plenty. I mean, these days there's also plenty of tools in the
hmm
pipeline that that already exist that help us with that, right? It's everything is basically we're incorporating QA everywhere. For
Yeah.
example, when we do our code, then
Yeah.
we commit our code and then goes to the pipeline and then compiles, blah blah blah. Normally, it goes through a process, right?
Yeah.
Where you run the unit tests, through unit test and make sure okay everything is green means all the tests pass, blah blah blah. But there's also the code analysis that you run, and that's another part of the QA, I would say, in the
Yes.
developer world, where you
Yeah.
use. We used to. I remember I used to use a tool called Sonar Cube. Well, it's
Mm.
maybe it's. I don't know if it's still typical, but it was some years back. Uh, Sonar Cube and Sonar Lint, basically some plugins that you install on the IDE, and you run it, or even in live when you will typing, it will tell you, okay,
This is
uh,
wrong.
this is wrong. Okay, you have uh, you're not handling this scenario here. Make sure,
Yeah.
or even you can define the rules, right? Maybe you don't want to have functions with more than 10 lines of code or 15 lines of code or whatever, and then it's starting to tell you, okay, this function is too large, break it. Those kind of things, right? Everything is quality. Quality makes things in the long run easier, makes things to work correctly.